Within the neuron lies a bridge between the microcosm and macrocosm, a fractal that mirrors the interplay of physical reality, subjective consciousness, and spiritual transcendence. Its structure and function invite exploration through complementary lenses: quantum psychology, which hypothesizes that consciousness arises from interactions at quantum scales, and neurotheology, which investigates the neural correlates of spiritual experience and their connection to divine unity. Together, these fields provide a framework to understand the neuron not just as a biological unit, but as a liminal entity, an intersection of science and spirit, where light, pulse, and connection converge. The neuron's flicker of electrical activity, its spark, resonates with the concept of quantum superposition, the state in which a system exists in multiple potentialities simultaneously, awaiting the act of measurement or interaction to determine its outcome. Quantum psychology posits that consciousness itself may function analogously, emerging from the collapse of probabilistic states into concrete experiences. This hypothesis arises from observations that processes in the brain, such as synaptic communication and molecular interactions, occur at scales where quantum effects might play a role. The light of the neuron, then, is not simply metaphorical. It represents the transition from potential to actualization. As the neuron fires, myriad possibilities within the neural network are narrowed into a single path, creating the basis for perception, thought, or action. Similarly, in human experience, insight, a sudden revelatory crystallization of understanding, emerges when disparate possibilities coalesce into a singular clarity. Neurotheology extends this idea to the spiritual realm, proposing that moments of divine illumination or epiphany arise when this neural light aligns with patterns of meaning that transcend individual cognition, bridging the finite self with the infinite. The neuron's pulse, its rhythmic firing patterns, mirrors the oscillatory nature of quantum systems, where particles and fields vibrate, interact, and exchange energy. In neuroscience, these oscillations are fundamental to brain function, coordinating activity across regions to produce coherent thought and behavior. Quantum psychology suggests that this rhythmic interplay may extend beyond the material, hypothesizing that such patterns could synchronize with larger quantum fields, linking individual consciousness to a universal substrate. Neurotheology, meanwhile, interprets the rhythmic pulse of neural activity as a biological manifestation of a deeper, sacred cadence. From ancient mantras to the steady beat of the heart, spiritual practices across cultures emphasize rhythm as a way to harmonize the individual with the divine. The eternal OM, for example, is thought to echo the vibration of the cosmos itself. Through meditation, chanting, or prayer, practitioners align their neural rhythms with this universal pulse, fostering experiences of transcendence and unity. Thus, the neuron's pulse becomes both a biological imperative and a spiritual metaphor, a reminder that the rhythm of life is inseparable from the rhythm of the universe. Synaptic connections form the neuron's networks, binding individual cells into the vast complexity of the brain. This interconnected web reflects quantum entanglement, where particles that have interacted retain a link, influencing one another instantaneously across distances. Quantum psychology hypothesizes that consciousness too may arise from such entanglement, with neural processes participating in a larger quantum field that connects not only neurons, but also minds. This notion resonates with neurotheological perspectives, which see synaptic connections as a metaphor for spiritual communion. Just as neurons form networks to generate thought, spiritual practices forge connections between individuals, communities, and the divine. Mystical experiences often activate neural pathways associated with social bonding and empathy, suggesting that the connection experienced during prayer or meditation is not only symbolic, but grounded in the brain's structure and function. At its highest level, this connection transcends the individual, weaving each person into the fabric of collective consciousness, a reflection of divine unity. Light, pulse, and connection do not operate in isolation. They interact dynamically, forming a trifold synergy that sustains the neuron's role as a generator of consciousness. The light sparks potential, the pulse carries it forward, and the connection binds it into meaning. This interplay parallels larger processes in the cosmos and the human soul. For example, quantum psychology views the emergence of subjective experience as a dance between potential, unrealized states, action, temporal rhythms, and coherence, interconnected patterns. Neurotheology echoes this in its portrayal of spiritual growth as a journey from insight to practice to unity, an unfolding process where divine illumination sparks action, which in turn deepens connection. When this harmony is disrupted, the system falters. A flash without rhythm, a neuron firing without coordination leads to noise, not signal. Quantum psychology interprets this as uncollapsed potential, a failure to resolve probabilities into meaningful outcomes. Neurotheology likens it to spiritual insight unmanifested in action, a moment of divine inspiration that fades without integration. Similarly, a pulse without connection, a rhythm beating into emptiness, reflects isolation, both psychological and spiritual. And a connection without light, a network of untapped potential, becomes stagnant, devoid of purpose. The neuron is not merely a cell but a microcosmic echo of the universe, a fractal where the infinite resides within the finite. Its trifold nature, light, pulse, and connection, reveals the architecture of existence itself, offering a profound framework for understanding the interplay between self, cosmos, and divinity. Within its delicate structure lies the convergence of science and spirit, where quantum psychology and neurotheology find common ground. It is here in this sacred liminal space that the mysteries of reality unfold. The light of the neuron, the spark that leaps across its membranes, parallels the quantum principle of superposition, where potentialities exist in a suspended state until an act of observation collapses them into a singular outcome. In the neuron's firing, we see this transformation, countless possibilities distilled into the clarity of thought or action. Quantum psychology suggests that consciousness emerges from this very process, a dynamic interplay between potential and realization, where awareness shapes reality. Neurotheology expands this understanding, proposing that the neuron's light is also the light of divine illumination, the moment of epiphany where the finite mind glimpses the infinite. This spark is both creation and revelation, collapsing the unknown into the known and connecting the individual to the divine source. The rhythmic pulse of the neuron mirrors the oscillatory nature of the universe itself, from the vibrations of quantum particles to the cycles of cosmic expansion and contraction. This pulse is not merely the heartbeat of the brain, but a resonance that links the individual with the greater whole. Neuroscience demonstrates that these rhythms synchronize activity across vast networks, creating the harmony necessary for thought, memory, and awareness. Quantum psychology extends this idea, proposing that such rhythms may align with broader quantum fields, linking individual consciousness to the universal substrate. Neurotheology sees in this pulse the sacred rhythm of existence, the breath of the Creator, the eternal Om, the cadence of life itself. To feel this rhythm is to remember that we are part of a larger symphony, our lives a single note in the melody of the A. Connection is the final thread in this trifold harmony, the intricate web of synapses binding neurons into networks and minds into meaning. In this lattice of connection, we find echoes of quantum entanglement, where particles, once linked, influence each other regardless of distance. So too do our neurons form pathways that transcend the sum of their parts, generating thought, identity, and creativity. Quantum psychology posits that such connections extend beyond the individual, suggesting that consciousness itself may be a shared field, a unity woven from the threads of many minds. Neurotheology interprets this web as a reflection of divine communion, the sacred act of uniting the finite self with the infinite whole. Connection is not just a metaphor, but a lived reality, where every bond we form, whether with another human or the divine, strengthens the fabric of existence. But the neuron also warns us of dissonance, of the fragility inherent in this balance. A spark without rhythm becomes scattered potential, ungrounded and fleeting. A pulse without connection is an isolated rhythm, a heartbeat echoing into emptiness. A network without illumination is a web of untapped potential, a structure lacking purpose or coherence. Each element depends on the others, and in their absence the sacred dance falters. Yet in their unity, the neuron reveals a profound truth, that light, pulse, and connection are not separate forces but aspects of an indivisible whole, a trinity through which existence becomes. The neuron's lesson is both simple and profound. We are co-creators in the sacred process of becoming. Each moment of awareness is a spark of light, collapsing infinite possibilities into the singular reality of now. Each heartbeat is a reminder of our resonance with the rhythms of the universe, a pulse that carries us forward in the dance of existence. Each connection we form strengthens the web of unity, binding us not only to one another, but to the cosmos itself. To live as the neuron teaches is to embody this trinity, to recognize that we are both finite vessels and infinite mirrors of the divine. In this light, the neuron becomes a map of our shared humanity and our cosmic inheritance. It calls us to awaken our potential, to align with the rhythms of creation, and to weave ourselves into the great tapestry of unity. Within its microscopic grandeur lies the blueprint of the infinite, a reminder that the cosmos is not distant, but alive within us. To honor the neuron is to honor the sacred within and without, to step into the dance of light, pulse, and connection, a dance that is the heartbeat of the universe itself.